Welcome to the latest Latin2Latin connection segment of the South Florida Community Roundup, where we bring you expert insights on important topics to our community. Today, I'm absolutely honored to introduce a trailblazer and a great community partner, Jacqueline A. Guzman, the Deputy Mayor of the City of Sunrise. In November 2020, Jackie made history as the first Latina, specifically the first Puerto Rican woman, and that's close to my heart, ever elected to the Sunrise City Commission. Jackie and I crossed paths at countless community events, and I have had the distinct pleasure of sitting down with her to explore new business development opportunities for my clients within the city. What I admire most about Jackie is that she perfectly epitomizes a critical lesson for our community. If you don't have a seat at the table, you are on the menu. And Jackie is not on the menu. She's firmly seated at the head of the table where the decisions are made. Beyond her historic election, she's a two-time heart attack survivor who turned her personal health journey into a fierce advocacy. She's a champion for small businesses, youth empowerment, and inclusive infrastructure. On a national level, she serves as the second vice president of the National League of Cities Women in Municipal Government. She's a mother, a survivor, and a true servant leading. Welcome, Deputy Mayor Jackie Guzman, to Latin2Latin Connection podcast. What an honor. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having me, of course.
Thank you. Jackie, we're going to jump right into, I wanted to read everything about your background because I think it's fascinating. And the more I get to know who you are, I am like in awe. And we're going to talk about a couple of things that also are very personal to me, especially about your heart condition. But let's just talk about this historical moment when you became the first Latina and Puerto Rican. And that's my affinity with you because I'm also from Puerto Rico, although you were born in Brooklyn, right?
Yes, New York.
And you were and New York. I mean, so they say the New Yorican, right?
New
What
Rican.
about Florida? How do you call now the Floridian? Because you kind of grew up here in Florida.
I call myself a Floridian. I do both, but I feel
You
more
do
like a
both?
Floridian.
I know this is so cute. In any ways, what does this mean? This historical milestone that you accomplished. What does it mean to you, to your
Yeah,
family, and to the community?
of course. For me, as a mom of three kids who have they're in the schools here in Sunrise, and I grew up here as well. I went to Piper High School. For me to be here in leadership in the city that I love, it's a blessing. And I'm still, after 6 years, I'm still in awe, and I still can't believe it, but I'm honored to be here where I am.
So I know you recently, what had a title change to now deputy mayor. So I want to know about that. But let's talk first. How do you enter the commission and what
Sure.
drove you? Because I heard your story before, but I want to hear, I want the audience
Yeah,
to hear how did
I'll
that
be happy.
happen?
It's long, but I'll try and sum it up.
Yeah,
Um,
yes. Remember, we want to catch as many things as we can.
okay,
But go ahead, please.
sure. So I originally started really hands-on in the city of Sunrise as a T-ball coach volunteer for my son at the time, who was like 4 or 5 years old. Now he's 18 and just enlisted
Uh,
into the army. So that's a pretty,
Amazing.
amazing moment there. But going back to when he was younger, that was my beginning into volunteering the city. And then that year that I was volunteering as a coach is when I actually had my two heart attacks. And
Wow.
we'll go into the heart attack part, but
Yeah.
this was
We,
beginning.
Well, I really want to go into that because that happened when you were very young. So we need
Yeah,
to also make people aware of the symptoms and everything, especially women. But
of
go ahead
course.
with your commissioning story.
So after I had my heart attacks and the doctor gave me the approval to go back out, go home, I went right back on the field with the kids and my son and was out there volunteering still. But then shortly after, as a family, we started to also volunteer in the community. So Hands on Broward, Habitat for Humanity, Ronald McDonald House. There were so many channels to, as a family, get involved. And so we were doing that, as well as given my story with my heart attack. It was just a complete shock to a lot of the doctors medically in this area.
Mm.
And they asked me to be an advocate for women and heart disease awareness. So I was a
Great.
local spokesperson here in Broward County, sharing my story on several panels and platforms. And then fast forward, I was so connected and embedded into the community where I then started joining the programs that they offer. So we have something called CERT, which is a Community Emergency Response Team. So I
Okay.
volunteered my time to learn how to help our community in case there was a disaster or emergency situation.
Mm. Okay.
There's also something called RLA, so it's Resident Leadership Academy. So I got to learn about our local government here in Sunrise
Mm.
and these programs, and there's so many more that were offered for free to our community. And I just loved learning. And as I was doing all of these things, there was an opportunity for a commission seat open. And
I
someone,
see.
two people actually, in a matter of a week or two span, approached me saying, "Hey, we think you'd make a great commissioner." And I was like, "What?
What?
I am not into politics. I'm not that person." I didn't even think, like, don't you need a degree in politics or something,
Right, a law degree or something like that.
And my background's in healthcare. I've been a healthcare professional since I was 19 years old. I worked at
Okay,
Broward.
so there's a connection there. It's a connecting tissue.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into that too.
So I
Okay.
worked at Broward Health and I worked at nursing schools, anything in the medical field. So like going into
Yeah.
politics was never in my
It's two different
vocabulary.
worlds. Yeah.
hmm And so
Mm.
it just so happened that I was informed this on a Friday that the seat was open. I talked it over with my family over that weekend. And that Monday, I walked into
You're
City
fired.
Hall and I requested a packet.
My God. Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
So you had the support from your kids, obviously. I mean,
Yes, and they were
they
young. They didn't really know. Now that they're older, that's questionable. They made they made
they're like,
mistake out.
Mom.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to go back to a couple of words you mentioned, volunteering. Do you learn that from your family, or what is that element? Because that's important. I mean, that's what led you into becoming to running as a commissioner. But why
Yeah.
volunteering? Why?
So I will go back to a little early in my childhood. My mom had two erupt brain tumors,
Oh,
and I was about the age of maybe like 12 or 13, maybe. And
hmm,
around that time, after she survived, and there was a lot of prayer, a friend of hers invited her to church, and we were Catholic, but then started going to a Christian school, Christian church, and getting entered into that world was different, but it kind of stemmed to where and who I am today.
hmm.
Giving my life to Christ and being around my church friends and learning about
Very nice.
God and
So
just
faith,
compassion and kindness, exactly.
faith,
And so I
very
believe that
nice.
was kind of embedded in me as, a young girl growing up. And
Hmm.
then as I became a young adult, I moved out, I graduated, I went to Las Vegas. I lived there for a few years. I went to
Oh, you
college
did?
there.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Something new.
Yeah, it's cool. I worked at Caesar's Palace. Like it's so
Oh,
crazy. I know. Lots of
that's
great
very cool.
memories.
Very
But
nice.
so even there in when I worked at the cardiologist office in the pediatric cardiology, I was spearheading donations and teddy bears and books and then going to the
Hmm.
hospital and so little things like that. I just always had it in my heart to just help and serve and make people happy.
Excellent. So you ran for commissioner and you won, obviously.
I did. So I put my name in, and again, never done politics or campaign. I had no zero knowledge of how to run a campaign. But so that February or March, I believe, I filed to run, and within 2 weeks, I was able to put together a team of community members, friends, residents, business owners that I had built relationships over the years, and they
Hmm,
were
hmm.
all supportive of my run. But then, while we were, trying to strategize and get a campaign up and running, is when COVID hit.
Okay. So this
And,
is now in the middle of COVID.
so everyone, yeah, everyone at this point was home. They were scared. People are dying.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, given my medical background, yes, I was fearful, but I also still had that heart to help where I can. I was out in the community. I was still trying to meet people, and see how I can help. Putting aside the politics, I was
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
trying to get support together, mental health professionals, job because people were losing their jobs. So I was
Right.
working with people to help them with getting resumes together and seeing what options they had for remote. And so there were so many little things I was putting together because I had such a network of people that
Understood.
Yes.
They're
And
trying to
so
bring them into your campaign then, essentially.
exactly.
Okay.
And so on Facebook, I built a network, a COVID network support group. And
Hmm.
there's at the time, it was just like people just having an opportunity to share how they were feeling.
Yeah,
And then
I know.
if they needed help and they were local, then I was, helping them say, hey, here's some resources and little things like that. But then, businesses were hurting. They were losing money, customers
Yes.
and closing. And so then I was talking with those business owners, like, what is going on? How can we help you? What do you need? What are the resources out there? So I was on boots on the ground while everyone was home, scared. I was out boots on the ground. And mind you, this was the most key component of a successful campaign for me. And
Hmm.
it's still a key component is I love marketing. I love graphics. I love designing it myself. I love social media. I think it's important. It's not just for fun,
Right,
scrolling. I
right.
believe it's a great way to
It's
communicate and educate.
communication.
Exactly,
Yes.
connecting.
So
And
you
so
use your own marketing skills in order
I
to
had, yeah,
rally for yourself. But you were saying something
absolutely.
important that you learn about going into the trenches, learning what people were suffering, how you
Hmm.
translate that. So that leads us into what I mentioned before, that you are now sitting at the table and you can
Yes,
make decisions on behalf of those constituents that voted for you. So what does
yes.
that mean, in order to be sitting at the table? Because now you have a new job, a
Mhm.
new title. Basically, you're the second in command in the city. Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
essentially.
yeah, it's a title. We collectively work together. We rely on our city staff.
You're
So
humble. You're
it's
humble.
definitely a team effort, but I don't look at it as a title. I was already always helping way before I was elected. So it was an easy transition for me when I was. It just gave me more of that platform to help people on a bigger scale, help more people and get those resources faster and bigger. And so I'm just continuing to do that. And I want to say one thing that's important too with what I won. I was running against four other men. Four
Oh,
other men.
oh, wait a second. Competition. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
four other men that had degrees in politics or strong titles and financial backgrounds, people who had been involved in politics for some time and had that backing. I didn't get all of that support because I was new to the political game, but I
Sure.
wasn't new to the community, which was the most
Very
important.
different. Yeah, exactly. You pull from the
So
grassroots up. You advance
exactly.
well. Okay.
And then one thing too is growing up, my mom was a single mom, four girls, and I saw how she needed resources. She got help from the government, public assistance, and then fast forward, here I am, a single mom of three. Who knows? Okay, what resources out there? What I've received, I can relate to the community on a level that most or some of my colleagues, or not just my colleagues, but across the community, not always can relate because they haven't really been there in that situation.
This is
Yeah.
fascinating. I want to jump now into the personal health care risk. I mean, the heart attacks. So young. Was it something, obviously, DNA related, or what happened, if I may ask?
So at the age of 30 years old,
Oh my God, 30.
my two kids at the time, my daughter was two, my son was four, playing t-ball. And one morning I woke up, I'm in the shower, and I'm literally shampooing my hair, and both my arms just dropped. And I was like, I couldn't even really lift up my arms to finish washing my hair. And then
Yeah,
I started to feel like pain in my teeth, in my jaw going
interesting.
down. It was tight. I felt like my teeth were
Very
tight.
different symptoms that
Mm-hmm.
would usually happen. And I'm gonna, this is important because I think we need to communicate, especially to women,
Yep.
about the
Mm-hmm.
different symptoms of a potential heart attack. The same thing happened to my mother, and that's the reason why I learned about what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
You both are survivors, heart attack survivors. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the symptoms, because I think that
Yeah.
we need to educate. I want to use this moment to educate, if
Sure.
you allow me to.
I'll be happy to. So again, my arms were weak. I had the pain, the tightness in my teeth, my jaw, my carotid, my neck area. It radiated to my back of my shoulder blades
Mhm.
underneath. And then, of course, I got out the shower. I'm like, what is going on? But then again, I'm still in mommy mode, getting ready,
Yeah.
getting them ready for preschool.
Adrenaline
And
up and running and
I did call my employer at the time at a nursing school, and I'm like, sorry, I'm going to be a little late. And so, sure
I know
enough, I
really
took my,
well.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. I'm like, exactly. I did not share what I was going through. But so I took my kids I drove them
You
to
drove them to
preschool.
school.
Hmm.
Oh my God. What
And
a
then I
what
drove back home.
my mother drove herself to ER, by the way.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And so then, sure enough, I then walked up 3 flights of stairs and stayed in my apartment
Oh my
by
goodness.
myself for almost 4 hours in disbelief. And that's when I started to feel tightening in the core of my body, of my chest. And it was
Okay.
tight, tight, tight. I felt like a rubber band was just squeezing inside. And then I had no oxygen. I literally was like taking my last breaths.
Okay.
That's when a friend of mine took me to Florida Medical Center, FMC, who has a heart hospital.
Hmm.
And here's what's crazy is when I walked in, I couldn't even speak. All they knew is I couldn't breathe. They were asking me to sign. I'm like,
Oh my
I'm
God.
giving my ID, just take me to the back. They did the EKG, normal. They did
Are
blood
you
work.
kidding me? Normal EKG?
The
Oh my
blood
God.
work came back normal. And I'm still feeling these. Now, mind you, I couldn't even speak. So all the symptoms I just shared with you, I didn't have the
You
opportunity to tell the
to
doctor.
to tell. So how did they figure out that you were having a heart attack?
So the ER director walked in, Dr. Isaacson. I'll never forget him. He saved my
He saved
life.
your life. He saved your life.
He walked in and he's looking at me and he asked the very important questions. He's like, "Did you have this pain? Did you have jaw, neck?
Oh, so
And
he started
he
kind of
was at,
reciting the
and I'm shaking my
symptoms.
head,
Oh my
yes.
God.
And that's when
He saved your life.
he gave me a nitrogen patch, and that's when it helped to open up my vessels. So fast forward, he kept me overnight for observation, and sure enough, I woke up to an entire cardiac team signing my rights over for them
Oh
to
my
do an
goodness.
emergency catheterization.
Oh my
And
God.
it's a crazy story that unfolded. But so they found 99% blockage in my main
Eh,
artery, the
Did
LAD.
they put a stent or they did an open heart?
They put stent. It took them
Okay.
hours to do it, but they finally did it. Thank God they didn't have to do open heart surgery.
Yeah, my the same thing with my mother. They found they put a stent.
Hmm.
But my doctor said next
Hmm.
time it's going to be different.
Yeah,
So I understand. So after that, because I know we can spend the whole time talking about it. But
yeah,
what would be the what do women? What is the message to women, especially Latinas, because
yeah,
this also happens by negligence of some Latinas. They don't see the symptoms. And I'm
sure.
not criticizing, it's just that we're trying to
Mhm.
anticipate what could happen. What would you recommend
Well, one thing I
in
would
terms of?
definitely recommend is to listen to your body because apparently the week prior, literally the week before, I was leaving the gym on the elliptical machine and I felt weakness in my arms, but I thought it was from working out. But little did I know my body was preparing me or talking to me, and I didn't know the signs. And a week later, I had a massive heart attack. So thankfully, I
Wow.
survived. For me, I wish I would have known the symptoms, been educated on them, and listened to my body because I would have went to the hospital right away then and they could have caught it. So I'm thankful that I'm here. But I try and so since then, every year I've been advocating for heart health awareness. I have a fashion show. The most recent 5 years, it's been at Sawgrass Mills Mall, and
That's
I'm
great.
thankful for their partnership. Mhm.
I want to make sure that we put those when we provide the information online, that we put all those activities and send us the links so we can make sure that to share. I know we're coming up to an end, but it's very important that you also comment on the bigger picture or the role at a national level, because I think that's important for people to understand that you're not only a leader at the Broward County level, but you are on a national level. You just came from Washington DC. Tell us very quickly what you're doing there.
So I was recently appointed to second vice president for women in municipal government. And what I get to do
Fabulous.
is I'm at that table nationally. So we're talking about women's issues, women's rights, policies, everything you could think of. We're having those discussions on what's best for our communities back home. How can
Mhm.
we put policies in forth? Who do we speak to at the federal level to ensure that these policies are being enforced or implemented or even discussed? and listen to. They have to hear us. So it's one thing to, send an email and do your part, but when you're in front of these people and they're listening to you, they have to listen to you. So
I think that's fascinating. I'm so happy for what you're doing, Jackie. Can you, I mean, there are other people, we need more people to be involved. What
yes.
can you recommend to anybody that's listening right now that may be doing exactly the same things that you're doing in the community, but they don't know how to get into the local city politics?
For me, it's very important, community and connecting, knowing that engagement, being involved. You can't just come out of nowhere and expect to, just get in the trenches. No, you have to be working, and it takes time to build those relationships, know what's going on, talk to the people. It's a process. And for me, I love that. I love talking, engaging, networking, building relationships. So for me, it's just important.
I know, and I'm a witness of that because you have welcomed me with when I'm bringing business opportunities of new potential clients, etc. So thank you for that. I want to thank you again for the opportunity to learn more about you. I learned more things about you in this conversation. Thank you for the dedication. Thank you for working, for volunteering, from walking the talk, for surviving, for your own sake, but also for your kids, for other women that now can learn about, listen to their body. My mother told me the same thing. She had some symptoms. She should have acted faster, but thank God everything's good. But thank you
Mhm.
so much for being here with us, Deputy Mayor. And I cannot tell you how lucky and honored I am to have you on the show. I want to invite our audience to contact you directly because you always welcome and open your doors whenever you're in the city of Sunrise, of course, and Broward at large. For those of you listening to us, Latin2Latin Connection is here to bring the voice to Latino entrepreneurs, business people, and civic leaders to share insights about the vibrant, growing Latino community in South Florida. For those interested in reaching out to us, please contact us at info@l2lmarketing.com. And you can also check us out online and through social media. Next month, I have a fellow board of governors from the Tower Club, Alexa Rosario. She's a young, dynamic entrepreneur in South Florida. So stay tuned and y hasta la próxima.